Who are these people?
This is Indy's story, correct? A day without childcare.
Yes.
Okay. Indy, just let me know what you need. So this is on Monday, May 9th,
right back.
2022. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it's really funny because I was going to do this on How Do We Miss That? We had a couple extra stories. I'm like, this kind of fits because we have an early childhood educator in the panel here tonight, and I figured I would love to hear his perspective because when I mentioned this, he also had not heard about this, and this is shocking because this was not a small action that happened here. And let's move a little bit forward and show people what happened.
Yeah.
All right. So this was in our friends Popular Resistance. Big shout out to Popular Resistance. All right. Through Portside, they pick up and aggregate stories like we do at independentleft.news. All right. Again, hundreds of daycares closed today as educators go on strike. It was, I believe, a one-day strike. Again, hundreds of childcare providers in 27 states in Washington, D.C. That's not a small amount. Went on strike to remind policymakers not only how essential they are, not only to families, but to the nation's economy. And with 3 young children who are either in or just came out of daycare, I can't agree more. Hundreds of childcare providers in 27 states went on strike Monday to remind, right? They said that early childhood professionals and the parents they serve said they're fed up with the lack of progress on policy promises, such as better wages and expanded subsidies. Right? Never met a family who said that childcare was affordable, says Alex Schiavone, member of the Ideal Learning Roundtable, which is a national group of developmental early childhood education experts.
Right.
Think tank. Okay, but a decent one. She helped organize a Connecticut-specific day of activism this year. So she's an activist as well. She's an organizer. And credit to all organizers, really, who get people together to take direct action like what happened here. So few providers make much of a profit, as we know. Many are in the red. And teaching and caring for young children is as expensive as it is essential. And these people, they dedicate their lives to it. They lose money constantly, again, like they said, but they know how important it is for the children, and they're dedicated. And I love that. So again, center closures were among various ways organizers took action Monday as part of the Day Without Childcare. Okay, a national day of action. That was what it was titled. Some will take students and any interested parents on field trips at a rally to state capitals or city halls or to celebrations in parks. Others simply ask parents to wear work pins with statements such as, "I wouldn't be here today without childcare." Well, thanks. There are more than 50 confirmed events and nearly 400 providers who pledged to call their donors or strike on Monday. That's close their doors, call out, or strike. 400 providers, according to a community organizer in New York City, Wendell Marte, who helped coordinate the national initiative. These are real organizers. These are great people.
Okay.
Right. And,
the best people.
And this is we have the best people.
The best people.
We probably should have cut this into 2. But what they're talking about, how again, and Collin is staying silent because Collin weighs in like Collin does at the end there, and he's got plenty to say, I'm sure. But again, the educators are saying, why should I have to sacrifice taking care of my family? Because demand for childcare exceeds the supply, and one reason is a crisis in staffing, right? So, again, survey conducted last summer. So again, you've got poverty, low level wages, and lack fringe benefits, and again, it's really tough. You have a lot of young women are working in this field, and they either find better salary jobs. They move up either to they get promoted. That happens once or twice, when there's a directorship or whatever opens up. But most of them actually have to move on to better paying jobs in time. And I think that's what they're talking about. On top of the fact that, again, 4 in 5 early learning and child care centers were nationally understaffed. I mean, that's a crisis, like they said. Okay. So participating in the day of action said the problem has gotten worse, of course, pushing some of the workers to lower stress, higher paying jobs at warehouses and chain restaurants, right, where they can.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Right. So in consultation with staff and parents, this is Chenille Hunter's Circle Academy, right? So she decided to close down her center on Monday and make a statement as Black women and fourth generation childcare provider, which is that why should I sacrifice taking care of my family? Why am I constantly in a position where I have to choose? I want to leave my business to my children, but I'm strongly against advocating for my daughters coming into this industry because it's a tough slog.
Yeah.
You know, so they had a block party and a rally at City Hall in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Again, this is I believe the end of the article. Again, where it says many of the women who are spearheading the protests were themselves mothers who both relied on and struggled to afford childcare when their kids were younger. They quote unquote paid their dues, right? And they got their degrees. They studied early childhood education, probably went into debt. They worked in classrooms, and then they complied with all the licensing rules to retain their designation as high quality. That again gets expensive, and this is what and again, women account for almost all of the childcare workforce, and a disproportionate number of women of color, and their median wage is just $13.22 an hour to take care of, to wipe asses, to change diapers. I mean, wow.
What do you think of the poem? I know Jesse's a purveyor of rhyme, so
well, it must have been pretty recent because crypto Nazis and their remedies has got to be within the last decade for sure. I don't think that's anything old.
I mean, not necessarily, because I mean, he could be playing off of like crypto zoology, for example.